1:59. We're getting real close. If you're watching, it's Greg Sheldon here, and welcome to the show. Not sure exactly. We wanted to start at 2, but it may go less than an hour. Don't want to take up too much of your time because everybody's very busy. I understand that. So, but I appreciate anybody that has come very much. So, about once that hits 2 o'clock, I will start. And what we're talking about today is leadership, and how financials can get you there to helping your people see your vision. So let's do it. So leaders who understand their financials will find and keep good people. And that is a fact. And I want you to think of the person, that you looked up to in your life. What were the qualities that you admired about them? With that in mind, were you willing to follow that person without question into anything? And I know I have the people that, I think of that I would, and there's qualities about them that I admire. And if you write those down, those are actually qualities that you have. And why this is important is because those are the qualities that you have. Those things that you admire in other people are things that you have, you possess yourself. And what we're going to do here is not so much bring those out, but make sure that you have direction in your company on the financial end of things so that other people can see that you know where you're going. Because at the end of the day, the truth is people follow others who know where they're going. And that has been proven time and time again in corporate North America. So let's go to the next slide. So at the end of the day, as I said, follow people. People follow those who know where they're going. So how do we do that for you? That's what we're talking about here, right? We want to create a roadmap for you and your business to create clarity for people on where they're going. So here are some things that, most businesses focus on that are wrong. Revenue being one of them. So building revenue feeds your ego, and that's great. But what really is important is that it feeds your family and the profits. The profits in the business are the key thing that make you somebody to follow. And profits are, again, what feed your family. So almost all business owners don't understand that the profit is where it's at. Building revenue is great, but building profit and revenues don't always connect to each other. So we're going to touch on that today. And a lot of business owners and managers and yourselves may be thinking, you can't build one without the other. Well, and that's not true. And we're going to show you today and over the next period of time that isn't always the case. And you'll see that traditionally, a lot of times what happens in businesses, you'll bring a consultant in and they say, let's do lead generation. Let's build the revenue, the top line. Well, what happens a lot of time is that your variable costs go right along with that. So it doesn't really improve anything on the profit end of things. So again, like I just talked about, the traditional model is let's do lead generation revenue. And it's almost never the best way to make money, right? We can show you with near accuracy exact strategies to generate more profit for your business in the shortest amount of time. So, would you like me to show you how to do this? So, a little bit about me and why am I the guy? Why should you be listening to me? Well, I'll tell you, I many years ago started a venture of acquiring companies. And, I've learned a lot along the way. But what I met along the way was a lot of world class accountants, lawyers, investment bankers, and entrepreneurs that have taught me a lot. And these people are wiser and smarter than me. So I listen to them. And what's come with that is a lot of learning. And I and because of that, I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd for business. I'm a nerd for financials and numbers. I've always been keen on that, especially in my time in manufacturing and the metal industry. The financial end of things was always my strong suit. So I naturally gravitated towards finances. So I'm also part of a group of 900 consultants that specialize in finance and growth. I do 3 podcasts, 2 podcasts that are, one specifically about the metals industry, and then another one around finance. So I'm learning something every day from these people that are, again, wiser and smarter than me about business and finance. And, I want to bring that all to everybody here because the better you can be in your business, again, back to the very beginning, the more the direction where you're going, more people are likely to follow you, right? I'm passionate about business and helping others. The other podcast that I didn't mention was, I interview and talk to people about life's biggest problems. And that is, the proof is there that a lot of people need help and not just in business. So, for me, helping others is key. And then again, 21 years in metals and manufacturing and 5 in management, where I helped the business operate daily, where we did the on the floor stuff, helped manage that. That was one of the biggest challenges of my life. And I enjoyed it and learned a lot about myself and other people. I'm a learn-it-all, not a know-it-all. And if there's anybody on here that knows me, that certainly at one time, I thought I knew everything, but I don't. You begin life off as a 20 to 30-year-old and you think you know stuff, but really it's a paradox of life. The more you learn, the more you realize how little you know. So, and I'm a family man. I have a beautiful family, 2 kids, Quinn and Wyatt, and my wife, Annie. So here they are. Quinn, AKA Munchkin. She's my little sweetheart. And Wyatt Michael David, also a weapon of mass destruction. He's just split his chin open 2 days ago, and he's a tough guy. He did a great job at being in the hospital. So, and then we got Annie, Mummy, my wife, love of my life, and then there's Daddy, which is me. So when I was putting together all of this and thinking, how can I add value to everybody in my industry or related industries, I thought, okay, well, I think let's go do some real-time searching to see what is it that people need. Okay. So what I did is I did some surveys to ask people, what are they looking for? Right. And what we found out was, and I had a big old spiel here, blah, blah, blah. But the biggest struggle in business today of these 4 things: find and keep good people, increase sales and profits, succession and tax planning. Clearly, nobody's interested in that at this point in time, but they were in others. So, and then uniqueness in a saturated market. These 3 things, this one, and this one, I want to, bear with me, because this is just the first of many things that I can share with you where we can help you keep the good people, find them, because you're going to have a direction that nobody else has after this. And then that's going to lead to increasing sales and profits. And Those things that we're going to talk about later, which are called market dominating positions, unique selling propositions, are going to make you stand out in a saturated market. And there's so many markets that are saturated that you need to stand out so that you can talk, so that we can correlate the things I'm going to talk about later, which are pricing, increasing these things that, will make you more prosperous and make people follow you. And again, so we got some more results that I got deleted because they didn't like that I was doing a survey. However, I got some results before that happened. So, again, we can see finding and keeping good people is a problem in the business analysis Reddit. We've got, again, the same thing in accounting. We've got in metalworking Reddit, subreddit, finding and keeping good people, being unique in a saturated market, right? So on and on, we see this one was a little bit unique. This was an entrepreneurial subreddit, and we saw that they had a higher interest in increasing sales and profits. So let's hope that they're here listening, because that's what we're going to talk about. Next slide. So how do we keep good people? We've touched on this. Leadership. People follow leaders who know where they're going. Again, think about that person that you admire in your life. It could be anybody, and you're willing to go and follow them into anything, right? And that's what we're going to show you how to do. Knowing why your business does what it does and where it's going is so important. Why? And then there's a book out there called Find Your Why. And I recommend anybody read it, because it really distills why you need to think about why your business is doing what it's doing, and everything else kind of leads down to that. Is, why are you getting up in the morning? What compels you? What is the end result here? So systems and plan. What comes from that is systems and planning, and showing the people in your organization that you have it planned and you have it organized. You know where you're going. Again, back to the people following you, because you know where you're going. I mean, we talk about all these great leaders like Elon Musk. People follow him. People that don't even work for him follow him, because he's a man with a plan. He knows where he's going. And I'm not saying you got to be Elon Musk, but I'm saying is that people follow people that know where they're going, have a vision. So, and that leads into market dominating positions. What are these? Well, we'll talk about those later, but a lot of it's in the name of it. It is a way to dominate your offering to the marketplace and be unique, like nobody else is doing. And that results in some other things. A unique selling proposition, and a bit of a twist on the market dominating position, but that's more about you in your business doing something that can benefit your clients, like they get a discount because they pay early or something like that, right? So these are all unique things that if you can bundle them, package them, you can do well. So this is how you attract talent in 2022 and beyond, because you're asking why. The why is the biggest thing. Why are we here? And again, it doesn't have to be changing the world. It doesn't have to be changing the world. It could be just defining, why are we doing this every day? We're making the best product possible. We are pleasing our clients like nobody else. And it's just a direction. It's going somewhere. So I want to touch on this because I've been and am the people, and I will stand up for their rights and their thoughts, that they aren't lazy or stupid. The key thing here is the communication. And the communication could be finances. It could be the systems that we just talked about. And it could be, all these things that we're going to lay out here in a few minutes. But they don't know. what you think is a good job. You need to communicate that. And if they don't know what that is, they're going to create their own answer. So again, communication. Communication is key. But if you don't know where you're going, you can't communicate to your people how they need to react and what is it. I mean, I'm a believer that you should have a mission statement that says it all. This is what everybody should look to. So that if I get hit by a bus and I'm the company founder, they can look to that mission the next day after I'm dead. And it helps them answer decisions in a managerial role. And this roadmaps, the systems, all that is key, but it doesn't start without the why. Again, people want to be led. That's clear. And understanding your finances is key to this because it creates a roadmap. That is the biggest thing I want to drive home here. It's not about the technical stuff. That stuff's great because you got to know it, but it's about asking the questions. When I look at my cost of goods sold in a business, what is it telling me? What's the cost of goods sold telling me in the business versus the revenue? What's the gross profit telling me? What is the expenses? How do we allocate those things? All of these things lead to success in whatever form that you want. Success isn't always the same, but what it is this. This is the definition: the accomplishment of an aim or purpose. So success for you, maybe today, is finding your why. Maybe you already know your why. And we need to create a roadmap to get you there. So here's some small business facts. And this applies to mid-sized business too. I just forgot to put it in there. Well, some of it applies there. So small business facts: 60% or more of small businesses create jobs in North America. So that's a lot of people. And a lot of people that want to be led. 90% of those businesses fail in the first 5 years, and then another 90 fail in the next 5 years. So that's not good. So we got to give it our all to give more reasons why we shouldn't fail. And yet I understand there's a lot of people on the call here that are, running, $50 to $100 million businesses, and that may not apply. But that doesn't change the fact that you still need a leadership direction. And then, of course, I want to add this because of some of the other stuff that I do. 80% of listed companies through business brokers don't sell. And there's a whole other slideshow I can do on that, but so I'll spare you for that today. So strategy. Let's talk about strategy. Long-term strategy. What are you ultimately trying to do? What do you want to be remembered for? This leads back to the why, right? The why. Why is it we're doing what we're doing? Why am I, as a business founder, doing what I'm doing? And I have my reasons, but these are the questions we need to ask ourselves. Because if we can't provide those, then the people can't follow us. So here's some good examples of companies that had a vision at the beginning that ultimately evolved into something else, but they had a clear idea of where they're going. And look at them today. Obviously, Google, to organize all the world's information in one place. Amazon. They are a giant now, one of the world's largest companies, right? But they believed in client focused. And I only used the word customer here because that came from them. I would always use the word client. And the reason for that is because the word client is closer related to treating somebody as if they're under your wing. They are in your care instead of a customer, which is more related to a commodity. So, and then Elon Musk started with a high-priced item. This is unheard of. A high-priced product for early adopters. And this led to going to lower end products. I mean, it's brilliant. And what it did is it gave them the funding to be able to do these things. And it also provided downsells. And it's always easier to sell down than it is to sell up. Always. Cross-selling, downselling is much easier than upselling. If you've ever done sales, you know that. And it's not about price. We'll get into that. Why it's not about price. It's about emotions. People buy for emotions. What is the end game for you? This is again touching on the why, touching on all the stuff that I touched on already. Why? Is it transition? Is it a higher evaluation? Is it business structure? Maybe it's a family member that wants to take over the business. If you ever want to sell your business or leverage against it or whatever that is, a banker is going to want to see that everything's organized financially, at least financially. A buyer is going to want to look at a lot more than that. They're going to want to see systems in place, structure, all of that. And if you can pull that out real quick in that initial couple meetings, and that's going to change the game for you. That gives you the power as a seller. So the short term, how are we going to get you to where you want to go? Well, I'm going to start with teaching you and sharing with you the financial end of things, because that's where it all starts, because it creates a roadmap. So we touched on this a little bit earlier, market dominating position and a unique selling proposition. And I want to give you some examples so you can sit and think about it. Maybe not right now, but maybe later tonight you're thinking, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So here's some examples. Harley Davidson motorcycles. We've all heard of those, yes? Well, you can buy the same motorcycle for half the price, 3/4 the price, depending. I know Harley Davidson did put more motorcycles out, so the supply and demand thing happened, but you can buy rival brands for half the price. But why don't you? If you're a Harley Davidson rider, why don't you? The reason is because you're emotionally involved in that product. They give you a reason to spend the money outside of it's just a motorcycle. There's a culture that comes with it. There's a brand. You be perceived a certain way. So that creates a network effect because you're passionate about it. The network effect creates people talking about what they're emotional about. Cell phones, for example, in the past, when nobody had them, there's a few people that did, okay? And they were perceived as cool or whatever, or, early adopters. And then the word spread because they were passionate about it. This is the network effect. People talk about the things they're passionate about because we're tribal. That's what we do. So this applies to so many other things too. Think of all the things in your life that it's not about price. Your wife or woman or whoever's on that. I mean, I know that there's some, your wife or husband, I suppose, has a handbag. That's crazy expensive. I mean, I think it's a silly thing to spend your money on, but it happens. Smartphones, Apple branded themselves as having the higher end phone. And even in my experience, I've been teased, oh, you got an Apple phone. Well, yeah, I mean, I like how it operates. I find it intuitive and easy. So that's their market dominating position, right? Coffee. Tim Hortons versus Starbucks. Why do people pay $7 or $8 for a coffee at Starbucks versus Tim Hortons? Well, I'm not exactly sure, but they do. And the proof is there because Starbucks is a screaming success. Jewelry, etc. This goes on and on and on. And these are great examples, but I bring these examples up so you can relate to them. Not that you need to be the next Apple or the next Harley Davidson. I mean, that would be great, but that may not happen. But what you can do locally is become that brand. that people go to. Domino's Pizza, here's another one. They dominated the pizza market with this: hot, fresh pizza delivered in 30 minutes or less, or it's free. So that's more of a unique selling proposition, I would say, than a market dominating. But it's a bit of both. But it's talking to the hot button of the college person or the people that want pizza fast. And the hot button is, I'm hungry right now because I've been drinking all night and I'm hungry at midnight. And I don't want to wait 40 minutes. I don't want to wait 45 minutes. And I remember actually going through this. Me and a friend actually timed, I think it was, it may have been Pizza at the time, but we timed them. They were like a minute late. We got the free pizza. But the point is, it differentiates them from everybody else. Does this make sense to everybody? Just trying to... does this make sense? In the chat, tell me if it makes sense. Yes? I also can, hold on, wanted to let you guys know that this is live. It is 2:25, and that's my daughter. But yeah, I'm live, and you can actually see my number at the bottom of the screen. And you can text me or call me if you have a question. I will not spam you. I will not, use your information for any other reason than to help you today. So at any point in time, text me or call me, or put something in the chat if you have a question or a comment or anything. So let's continue on with this presentation. So what is business growth? So traditionally, in a lot of cases, it's you want to increase revenue, right? That's what we all immediately think, because it makes us look good. It's what we've been advised to do most of our lives, our business lives. But that's not the only way. It's not the only way. It is something to think about, but it's not fast. It's not as easy as what I can show you to do here. Profit is money to feed your family. That's the key thing here. Increase your profit margins. Increasing revenue is great, but again, your costs go up along with that. But profits, we can increase really quick. So understanding your financials, revenue. Why do we care about revenue? Because all other things are measured against it. Without revenue, there's nothing else. It's the top line. You don't have sales, you don't have anything. Which brings up a good point. I'm not sure why everybody gets rid of marketing and sales first, but that's a whole other fight. Number 2, or bullet 2, is pricing. What strategy are you using? And we'll explore what the experts use. And those are the ones that have taught me how to do this stuff. Cost of goods sold, which is also known as variable costs. What is a benchmark? There are benchmarks that you can find. And what do they tell you? What do they tell you? That is what we're going to discover. And I'll tell you right now, cost of goods sold. I know the benchmark in manufacturing and metals and not metal distribution, but metal fabrication. If you're around 60 to 70%, you're doing okay. But there are ways to do better. But that's a measurement. That's something to look at on the financials to ask yourself, why? Why is that number not higher, lower? Creating a roadmap. Break-even point. So this is arguably one of the most important numbers on the financial statement. And we'll show you how to get there and what it is and why it's important. Gross profit, what does it tell you? Highly related to cost of goods sold. It tells you a lot. It tells you what, how expensive it is to operate your business. And then again, another expense, fixed costs. These are the things that don't change. Your rent, your bills, your power, right? I mean, now some power can go into cost of goods sold, so it all depends, but your fixed costs, the things that are never going to change. So that brings up a point to be thinking about, are the allocations in my profit and loss in the right places? So as a business owner, are you in the cost of goods sold? Or are you in the overhead or fixed costs? Or is your salary person in the right place? And EBITDA. So EBITDA is your earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. And this is another great benchmark for bankers and financial institutions. And the reason they use this is because all businesses everywhere have an EBITDA that is not affected by their local economy, which is taxes or all those things. So it's a good measure point because all these other things can be affected by the way you structure things. So that's why the valuation multiples are used on the EBITDA number. So valuation multiples also, just to touch on it quickly, the higher the multiple, the less risky it is. So manufacturing is 3 to 6, 7, depending on the risk, how long the business has been around, and goodwill. So, and then net profit, you can look at what is the industry standard and what is the standard above all businesses. And, generally at this point in time, it's considered 10 is average, 20 is really good. But depending on the business too, and some high tech are 90, 80. It's crazy. But traditional businesses, that's where it's at. So why should you care? Why should you care about business finance? For all the business owners out there and the business managers and anybody that works for an organization, this is why you should care, because I've said it many times. It's a scorecard. It tells you, and it's hard you can't understand it until you know what the numbers mean. But after you know that, it's a scorecard to ask the right questions to get to why are we doing what we're doing, which means you will lead people. It highlights what's working and what isn't. It shows you things you can't see in your business. So your profit and loss balance statement, cash flow statements show you what's happening in the business without you having to have cameras on everybody all the time, without having to micromanage. It's a snapshot, and you can set things up to look at these things every single day. You can have real-time financial data. I'm not saying that's what you need to do, but it is possible. And again, it makes you ask questions. Why did we fluctuate in percentage? And thinking in percentages is key here, because it shows changes quite easily for you to quickly glance and look. And that's key. So, and then it helps, and again, back to the measuring, it helps you measure so you can control, because that is that. And here's the thing about all this stuff is that when you're in it, like me coming out from the outside and looking in, it's a lot easier for me to see these things. Just like it's easy. I hate to say this, but it's just like anybody, you go to a psychiatrist or you go to a business personal coach or a trainer, they can see your faults a lot easier because they're not you. You're not in it. They're not in your life. So I can go, you're in your business. And this is one of the easiest ways to look at your business, is looking at the financials, because it gives you a full view of what's going on. And it helps you plan for what's coming next. And then back to what I said, the valuation stuff. What's your end game? Your end game is, let's sell this business. Lenders want to know this, and they want it to be fast and quick, and so do buyers. Buyers want to know this stuff. They want to know you have a game plan and that your structuring is accurate. And this is, most of your competitors don't have a clue. And we'll talk about something super simple, and I bet you most of you on here already know it, but we'll talk about markup versus margin. Thinking in percentages. It's a simple way to see changes, leading you down a path of more questions to understand the problems and to get to the bottom of them. So here's a myth. Business finance is accounting. That's not true. Not true at all. Business finance, guys in management, ownership, look at things differently than an accountant or a CPA or wherever you want to call them in your area. CPAs or accountants are concerned with general ledgers, trial balances, how to construct financial statements. And if there is any accountants on here, I'm sure a lot of this stuff's repeat for you. But in time, you'll see that maybe there's some things that you're not thinking of. So checks and balances, physical, all the technical stuff. That's what the accountant's good for. And like the taxes, that's one of the biggest things accountants get involved with. And business management needs to be more active than just saying, hey, what's in the bank account? And it's good you got some in there, but we need to know more. There's a bigger picture. So compliance, of course, right? We got to keep in compliance. Everything we do is morally ethical, done in business. So, and then a business manager, maybe not you, me, how to read and extract the information from statements. What are the trends that are coming up in your business? Why are they happening? Budgets, performance against those budgets, preparation, all these things. So it's a totally different perspective. I would say it's as simple as thinking of CPA gets into the weeds. And I recommend getting your CPA involved with this stuff, because they know some things that I don't know, that some of us don't know, because they see it every day, right? But as a manager or owner, we're seeing a larger overview and then picking out the things that are different. That's like, why is that happening? Because that percentage point changed in our gross profit or overhead. And it's a good way of identifying theft too. So something super simple, probably for all of you, but for those that it isn't, this is just the greatest. Markup versus margin. It's the debate that I've heard since I started being in business. So here it is. Typically, people will do this in business. We have a product and we want to sell it for a profit, right? Of course, we're all in business to make a profit, but it should be more than that. Just to touch on it, it should be a why. What's the reason? We don't have to change the world, but we want to get to why are we doing what we're doing. But ultimately, a business has to be profitable. Even a non-profit has to be profitable to be sustainable. But I get off track here sometimes. But so we want to make 50% on that. Let's say you're buying a product, it's $100. You want to make 50% on that. Sound good? That's the model we're going to go with. So we multiply it by 1.5 to make our profit, right? Wrong. No, this is bad. Because that doesn't equal a 50% profit. I'll show you the math. And this could, I just did this for simple numbers. It could be anything. It could be any numbers. This applies. And certainly glad to work through with anybody on here. So for simple numbers, let's use $100, okay? If we multiply that by 1.5, which is giving us $150, right? But if we divide 50 by 150, does that give us 50%? No, it doesn't. It gives us 33%. We can do it on the calculator right now. I'll show you. So bring out the calculator. We got $100. Oops, and $100 times 1.5. $150, right? We go 50 divided by 150 is 33%. So when we mark up at the number we thought we were doing, it does not equal 50% profit. It equals 33% profit. And this applies to anything. So if you want your financial, okay, so if you have a goal at the end of the year that you want to make 25, well, let's just go with 50, which is pretty great. If you want to make 50% at the end of the year and you're pricing things with markup, you're not going to make 50%. You're going to make 33%. So something to think about. Let me show you how we actually do it. And it's very easy. Using the same numbers, $100 item with a desired profit of 50%. Okay. Same thing, but we're going to do it the right way. We take the $100 and divide it, not multiply. We divide it by 50%, equaling $200. Okay, so let me show you. Take $100 divided by 50% equals $200, right? So we take that 50 So we need to go backwards and check our work. So we divide the 100 by 200, which equals 50% profit margin. So that is the true way to get to the profit margin. We always use margin, not markup. Always. And that's, and I understand it's an education thing. And that's the hard part. And this is the thing that you can do with your people, communication, showing them that this is the way we're doing it. People want to be led, lead them. So P&L analysis. So there's many names for sales, revenue, income, your top line, okay? There's a multitude of names for that, depending on your accountant, what he's been learned, what accounting software he's using. It could be called revenue, income, sales. Other times it could be volume. In UK, it's called turnover. But this is your top line. Everything else stems from this, okay? So then you've got your cost of goods sold. So those are your variable things like materials, labor to make that stuff, your consumables, okay? And then you're left with your gross profit. All right, then you got to pay your fixed costs. So we can see here in the example that this is simple stuff. And we have a program for this, and that will be coming in the next 8 weeks where we talk about how you can construct this, but I just wanted to give you an overview of what all these things mean. So we've got overhead, gross percentage of sales. So that's just this divided by this. Okay, so your 400,000 divided by your million is 40%, and then you're left with your fixed costs, which is 200,000, which is the 20% of your 100. So you're left with 20%, right? So what gets really interesting is when we talk about the golden triangle and the break-even point. Okay. So here we see we've got, we've got the break-even point, which is BEP, break-even point, which is the point at which you are covering your costs of operating the business before you start making a profit, which is this yellow triangle right here. Okay, you see the yellow triangle? That is what we call the golden triangle. So your fixed costs start right here. I wish I had, so we got our fixed costs start here, okay? And then they go up along with your revenue, okay? And then this point here, this is your dollars, this is your volume, and your break-even point is right here. When you start paying, you get to the revenue point that's paying the bills, and then the rest is profit, which is the golden triangle. So this is the goal, one of the first goals of any business, right? So how do we increase? How do we increase the golden triangle? How do we increase these numbers? So the traditional technique is increase sales volume, income, and revenue. Knowing what we know now is increasing sales, volume, income, revenue, whatever you want to call it, the way to make more money. There's a hint there in the brackets. No. Because if you do that and you increase your sales volume, revenue, income without addressing other things, you will run into these problems. And I'm not saying increasing revenue is bad. All I'm saying is we need to pay attention to the profit part of it. Okay, so if we go back, let's go back. These costs, total costs, merge right with your revenue right here. I hope you can see my pointer. These are your total costs, okay? And then this is your revenue. You start at zero. You get to a point where you meet your costs. They intersect, okay? And everything after that is profit. So if I increase this revenue and this stays the same, does that mean you're going to have more profit? Well, you will. Your number will be bigger, but your percentage isn't. So if we go back, so that where I'm going with that is that sometimes increasing revenue causes other problems, other costs. So, your new demand curve may cost you more equipment. You may need more equipment. You may need more investment into your business. So that goes on your balance sheet, right? So is it scalable? Is it scalable to increase the revenue? Or is it more scalable to just focus on the profits and worry about the revenue later? So this is what I was talking about. That line, those lines just extend. That golden triangle doesn't grow this way. It just continues, right? So does raising prices make sense? So this leads us into raising prices. Raising prices. And I know everybody's going to be like, oh my God, Well, I can't raise prices because I'll never be able to sell anything, and my competitors will get all the work and I'll be left with nothing. Well, let me tell you, that's not true. Here's some mythbusters. And we also talked about earlier, market dominating positions. And I hope you can make the connection here that when you have a market dominating position, unique selling proposition, you are unique in the marketplace. You have an offer that nobody else has. It's not always about price. But here's some myths that we need to bust. That's what everybody thinks, right? Lower prices are good because I'll get more customers. But let's look at what that actually does. Okay, so price change analysis. We've got $60 product. Okay, so our sales guys have done an awesome job, and the price of the unit is $100. They've sold 50 of them. Now our revenue is $5,000. Okay, our cost to make those is 50 times 60, which is $3,000. That's our cost of goods sold. This is very simplified. And our profit is $2,000. Okay, so Mr. Business Owner decides, well, let's try price increase because I listened to Greg. He seems to know what he's talking about. He's confident. He is, he knows his stuff. So we raise the price. And even at raising a price, what happens here is he sells a lower volume, the costs stay the same, and the profits go straight to the bottom line. Straight to the bottom line. Now, how about that? That's fast. That's easy. It takes about 5 minutes to change pricing. You have a group meeting and say, well, okay, we're increasing our prices. And yeah, you may lose some customers, but usually the pain in the ass ones anyway. So let's say somebody didn't listen and they went and they discounted the price to $90 a unit, but they were able to sell more. So the revenue went up. That's great. The revenue's up. My ego's awesome. Loving life. But then we look at the profit. We're losing. So there was no sense in doing anything because our profit is less than it was. We sold more. Everybody was busy, but our profit's lower. Okay. So even just to take it a little bit further, even if you sold another, I think it's 10% or 15%, whatever, 40 units at 115, you're still farther ahead with the higher price on your profit margin. So doing more with less. I hope everybody understood that. I'm just going to check the chats just to see if anybody's got any questions. Oh, I see some chats there that are from some porno site, but anyway, that's nice. Anyway, okay, so next slide. So increasing the angle, we just went through that, right? We talked about this unit here, okay? How we be sure? We went through how we be sure, okay? So what if we increase the angle? We're compounding results now. Lowering the break-even point. Wow, right? Lower the break-even point. And until you see these things, sometimes you don't know. And it's easy to say, oh yeah, I do know. But it's putting it into action and doing something about it. So increasing or raising the angle. So your prices go up. And whoops. Oh, I went to a video, but sorry about that. So we have the break even. So, okay, so let's say you raised your prices and you lowered your costs at the same time, compounding results. We're going to have a different break-even point. Our golden triangle, which is right here. Let me just show you again. Laser pointer. This is going to get bigger, and we didn't even raise our revenue. We increased our prices. I know there's going to be questions out there. People are like, well, I can't raise prices. I can't raise prices because look, it took me a long time to get it. But if you're offering something unique to the marketplace that nobody else is doing, you have the right and the ability to bring more value. And I don't want to forget that value part is important, because you need to bring value. You always got to have value along with a higher price. You don't just, you can just raise your prices, and you're probably undervalued anyway, but it's important to see the reflection of raising prices and then lowering your costs. So with all of that, I really, there's a lot of information here. And I did have a video that I wanted to go through. However, this has taken me a lot longer than I thought. So I'm going to negate the video and not present it, because it's 20 minutes and I don't want to lose anybody's attention. But certainly you can reach out to me, and I will share that with you in a few minutes here. But we've got all kinds of videos and great things, but I want the compounding thing is really key here. And we have so many key areas that we work on in businesses that we can compound all of these things, like, bringing revenue together. We're looking at cost of goods sold, looking at your expenses, and how all of that stuff comes together to really make an impact in your business so that you can lead your people. And once those financial issues are figured out, you can really focus on, your people. Like, what is it that what is their goals and aspirations? Why do they want to be there? You can lead them. And somebody said to me once, people don't care unless you show them how much you care. So I don't know what happened here. Oh, somehow. But if you're saying the following, excuse me for the weird setup there, but that's okay. So these are things that I've heard, and it'll ultimately end up in a bad place. And, you can read them yourself. But there's situations a lot of us have been in. But I'm here to say, the time to act is now. And coming from somebody that's been a procrastinator in his life, those things don't go away. And this is the time to work on things like this, because we want to get your people are depending on you to lead them down a path. And whether you've been doing that or not is irrelevant, but now you know. And there's never any business without problems. I'm not saying that, but anything can be made better, not fixed. There's no fixed. It's a fluid thing. It's always changing, right? So if you're saying any of these things, it may be time to look for a solution. So what does leadership look like? I've explained it many times here. Leadership looks like, being that person that knows where they're going in business and showing people that you care, and having a direction is almost in a tacit way of saying, I care about you because I know where I'm going. What does it do? It creates a culture in a business that people want to be a part of, because they know where they're going. They know why they're coming to work. They know what the result that is expected of them. And the clients see this. They see it. They know who's organized and who isn't. And that's who we want to impress. The results from being a leader are people want to follow you and listen. And again, if you know your finances, that's just the beginning of a road, a pathway to leading your people. So how do we make you a business leader? Well, we'll talk about how to charge more money. It's easier than you think. Dominate your market, higher prices, and your competition becomes less of an issue. That sounds awesome. Selling strategies. And, I've done this myself personally in life, taken a sales training course, and it made all the difference in the world when interacting with people. And I'm telling you, it works. Compelling offers. What is the reason that they should go with you and no one else? And make that irrefutable. There should be no other reason to go to anybody else. And you should not you shouldn't feel bad about that, because it's business. Joint ventures. One of the key things that you can do in your local market is find people that offer something that's congruent or parallel, whatever word, in what you're doing, and venture with them and say, okay, let's help each other out. I mean, that's how so many great businesses have really taken off. I mean, here's a very big but great example: McDonald's and Walmart. Every Walmart has a McDonald's. Well, I mean, how much sense does that make, right? Increases sales, increases brand, increases valuation, so many things. And you can do this on a local level. It just takes a little bit of thought. And then content marketing, things like I'm doing right now. So I can be top of mind when you think of something you want to improve in your business. Well, you got to do the same thing for your people. So we have strategies around doing that, how to always be that person that's top of mind. More thoughts on how to lead. Automating it to be top of mind. Deeper financial training means standing out in your market. How to be different, why to be important, why to be different and be important, and then how to increase all these things. If you decide on your end game, come together beautifully. It's work. It's work. I'm not saying it's easy. I think the increasing the profits thing's the easiest part. The rest of it's hard work. So I just wanted to share my mission with you, so you know a little bit about me. I aim to bring more value, care, innovation, and speed to the world. In my time, I've discovered that client service is the secret to the success of any company. I always want to be a part of something with this goal in mind. I want to work with people and organizations that do what they say they're going to do and not just serve platitudes. My mission is to make the people around me successful. I figure by default, if they are, I will be too. So that's how I look at the world. And I'm coming to an end here. I want to give a challenge to you until next week. Homework, if you will. Survey your people anonymously. Survey them anonymously. I can show you how to do that too. Ask them questions. It may not be these questions, but I'm engaging you in a thought process. What is the purpose of what we do? You, like in your company. Is it obvious what we do? Are there systems in place to make it obvious? Are the leaders organized? Is management organized? Are the directions clear and why? Do you care, Mr. Employee? If no, why not? If yes, why do you care? So these are all things that create questions and a roadmap. Because right now, maybe you don't have the financial stuff at your fingertips that I'm going to teach you. But asking questions. So that's it. My unlimited time offer is is to connect with me. I didn't touch on these spreadsheets today, but I have two spreadsheets. I have one that figures out what you should be charging for labor based on your overhead and workable hours. It's one of the most powerful tools for a labor-intensive business. Reach out to me and I'll give it to you. I also have a spreadsheet where we can talk about, we can break down all of the key areas in the business and what happens if you increase this area, this area, this area, and how that's going to affect your cost of goods sold and your profits. And it's super great. I'd love to work through it with you because the pleasure is all mine. And a little touch on what's coming is this. So today we did part 1. Actually, I might turn next week into part 1 because we didn't actually watch the video because I just have been rambling on. Not rambling. I think it's all pertinent stuff. So, and then part 2, all of these things, I may turn into 9 weeks, but these are some of the things that we will be touching on. A lot of great stuff that'll change your business. So that's it. That is my presentation, everybody. And I thank you very much for your time. I hope your Thanksgiving was wonderful for my American network here. And what you'll see on the screen here is a QR code that if you scan with your phone, it will take you to my Calendly where you can schedule a time with me. Now on there, it says an hour and a half. Doesn't always turn into an hour and a half. It could be 15 minutes, could be whatever. But I time block that for other things as well. So just to be prepared. So that's it for me. I thank you very much for being here. And this will be available later for people. So I hope that you can find a lot of success. And that's it for me. Thank you so much and have a wonderful evening.